Hey tribe, have you ever found yourself saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Maybe to a friend, a partner, or a family member, not because you felt genuine love, but because you felt guilty or scared to disappoint them. That's what we are talking about today. The difference between love and obligation.
This is Soul Sense Empowerment by Estar. Heal your mind and body, elevate your spirit, empower you.
Byron Katie said, when you say yes to someone else, make sure you're not saying no to yourself. And Jesus said in Matthew 5, verse 37, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Because here's the truth. Just because you care about someone doesn't mean you owe them your peace, your time, your resources, or your energy. Let's start by breaking down the difference between love and obligation. Love is free. It comes from choice, connection, clarity, and alignment. Obligation, on the other hand, comes from fear. Fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or making someone mad. It's when you act from pressure, not presence. You might say yes to watching someone's kids, staying in toxic relationships, or helping with a project, not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. So you say yes, and then you feel resentful or irritable or exhausted or invisible. You're operating from obligation, not love or true generosity. There is a psychology behind all this, and it traces back to attachment theory. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional, you had to be the responsible one, the caregiver, the peacemaker, the worker bee, you learned early that love has to be earned. And when that happens, our nervous system wires in what's called a fawn response, Fawn. Instead of fighting, fleeing, or freezing, we fawn. The fawn response, sometimes called please and appease, is a trauma response where we try to keep ourselves safe by constantly pleasing others, especially those we perceive as threatening. And it develops in childhood when saying no or standing up for yourself didn't feel like an option. So instead, you people please, we shrink or mold ourselves into whatever we think others want us to be, just to feel safe. And this is not your fault. It's a survival strategy. And unfortunately, it can become a pattern that follows you into adulthood, making it hard to know whether you are loving someone or just trying to avoid conflicts. Real love honors the truth. It doesn't require self-abandonment. Obligation, though, is ego-based. It's often how we want to be seen, as a good friend, as a loyal friend, a selfless partner. But when we constantly override our own needs just to maintain those labels, we are no longer acting from love, we are acting from fear. Love liberates, while obligation entangles. And if you believe that you only deserve love when you are useful or needed or endlessly available, you are not in a relationship. You are in a transaction. And to be honest, I've been there in transactions I thought were relationships. And I used to do this all the time. I would give my time, my energy, my resources, even money to people or good causes and situations that didn't truly deserve it. And I told myself, oh, well, I'm generous or I love them. But most of the time, it wasn't. It was fear. Fear that if I didn't show up, people would hate me or cut me off or talk behind my back. There was always this silent pressure. If I don't do this, I'll lose that. That wasn't love. That was obligation wrapped in anxiety. And then when I became more self-aware and aware of this pattern, I put up healthy boundaries. And you know what happens? Those relationships died, which only proved to me they were transactional, not real relationships. From that day on, I made that decision. If I'm not doing something out of love, there's no point. I won't do it. Now, let us look at this from a metaphysical lens. When we operate from obligation instead of love and authenticity, we create what we call energetic dissonance. The law of vibration teaches that our energetic state attracts our reality. So when we betray ourselves to be accepted, we are actually calling in relationships that match that vibration of being used, of self-abandonment. And even in the Bible, there is a verse that addresses this directly. Galatians 1, verse 10. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. This verse directly addresses people pleasing, obligation, and anchors the idea that our purpose isn't to earn love through performance, is to live in alignment, doing things out of love, with truth and divine will. So how does doing things out of obligation affect your emotional and mental well-being? Well, when we are constantly acting from obligation, always saying yes when we can't, always overextending, always scanning for how people feel and how people perceive us, it puts our nervous system into a state of chronic stress. And then you end up experiencing anxiety, you end up having burnout from being everything to everyone, you become resentful, you become irritable towards the same people that you actually care about, but now they are irritating you. You can also suffer from depression because you've lost connection with your own needs and your own joy. And often, all of these feelings get internalized. You think, there's something wrong with me, or why am I so tired? Why do I feel invisible? But the truth is, nothing is wrong with you. Your system is simply exhausted from trying to earn love instead of simply receiving it. Another layer to this is learning to recognize when our giving comes with strings attached, even subtle ones. We all slip into obligation. It's how we have been culturally conditioned. When we give in order to get something in return, whether that's appreciation, validation, approval, or just a sense of safety, on the outside, it might look like generosity, offering our time, money, resources, or energy. But if there is any expectation underneath it, any expectation underneath what you're doing, e.g. getting thank you notes, likes on social media, is not truly love, is a transaction. A helpful question to ask yourself is, would I still do this if I was never thanked, if no one liked my post? If we feel rejected, hurt, unappreciated, or resentful when someone doesn't acknowledge our effort, that's a clue that we weren't giving from love. We were giving to manage an outcome. And again, there is no shame in this. It's how most businesses operate anyway. You provide a service in exchange for money. And just to be clear, giving isn't the issue. You can absolutely provide a service, offer support, or show up for people from a place of love and be paid for it. That kind of giving is clean. It comes from choice, clarity, and alignment, which is love. What I'm talking about here is a different kind of giving, the kind that comes from with inner pressure, where you are saying yes, even though your body is screaming no. Where you are giving not because you want to, but because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't. You're afraid of what people might think of you. That's not service. That's self-abandonment with a smile. So how do we shift this in matter of giving with zero expectations? First, if your initial response is not an automatic yes with zero expectations, That should raise your awareness and ask yourself, am I doing this from love or from fear? If your answer sounds like, I just don't want them to be mad, or I would feel guilty if I said no, you are probably in the obligation territory. If that happens, then try one of these sheets. Number 1, you don't have to go full boundary mode. Start small. Try things like, oh, thank you, but I don't have the capacity for that right now. Or let me get back to you. This will buy you time to check in with your truth. Small no's will lead to bigger clarity. Number 2, in your own private time, name the fear you feel. Why am I afraid? What am I afraid will happen if I don't say yes? Write it down. Speak to it yourself. Naming the fear shrinks its power and helps you see if the risk is real or just a leftover belief from an old story. Number 3, this is what I call a self-check ritual. Before agreeing to something, pause and ask, does this request feel expansive or contracting? Will saying yes leave me energized or drained? If the answer is the latter, then you probably need to say no. Number 4, and this might sound weird, but practice saying no to people. It's a game changer. The first time I did this to someone who was so used to me saying yes every single time, my throat tightened and it was so out of my comfort zone. I was physically ill. And thank God I did, because I got to see the real colors of this person. So try to say no to someone. Let yourself disappoint someone. Do it kindly, clearly, and without over-explaining. At first, guilt will come up, but that's not a stop. It's a sign that you're building new boundaries. And we are going to talk about boundaries in another video coming soon. Number 5, reparent your inner approval seeker. Speak to that part of you that's scared people will be angry or they will leave you. Remind that part of you, I don't have to earn love. I am safe, even if someone is disappointed. The more that part of you feels seen, out of the darkness and into the light, the less it will run the show. So, this is what I need you to remember. Love is God. God is love and doesn't ask you to betray yourself. Obligation does. It's okay to disappoint people. It's okay to say no. You can still be loving, kind, and compassionate and honor your own limits and your own boundaries and your truths. So today, just start noticing. Ask yourself, where in my life am I acting from love, or where am I acting from fear? Then choose one small boundary to honor. One moment where you choose truth over guilt, and trust that real love can handle the truth, because it can. And here is what I want to leave you with. Love doesn't manipulate. It doesn't guilt. It doesn't need you to be earned through self-sacrifice. When we give from obligation, from fear, from the need to be approved of, or to avoid guilt, is not real love. It's survival. But here's the good news. We can shift that. You can learn to give from overflow instead of depletion. You can choose truth over approval. And every time you do, you create space for real love, real connections, the kind that doesn't cost you your peace or leave you resentful. And guys, I know I keep saying this, but I would love to hear from you. In the comments, tell me, where in your life are you noticing you've been giving from obligation or not love? Or what's one small way you can begin honoring your truth instead of your fear? Let's open this up. You never know who your story might free. So stay tuned for more empowering real talk. Subscribe and share. I'm here every week to help you reconnect with your true self. Capital T, capital S. True self. In gratitude, bye for now.